Hello, this is Eric Rosenberg with the Business of Meetings podcast. I am delighted to speak with Ivan Artolli today. Ivan is an icon in the hotel and the meetings and event industry. He's currently the general manager of the Hôtel de Paris in Monaco. You're in for a treat about amazing stories about Winston Churchill, about Claude Lelouch, also about diversity, about traveling, learning language, showing humility and always learning. This is a gem, and I'll let you listen to it. Thank you. Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meeting podcast. My name is Eric Rosenberg, and today I am absolutely delighted to speak with an old friend, an amazing entrepreneur in the industry. He's been managing the greatest hotels in the world. He studied at Cornell, he traveled, he's going to tell us all about this. And today, Ivan Artolli is the general manager of the Hôtel de Paris in Monaco. Ivan, how are you?
I'm very well, Eric. I'm very, very well, and really delighted to have been invited to take part to this interview. And, thank you for your interest, not only in the Hôtel de Paris, the Société de Bains de Mer, our destination, Monte Carlo and Monaco, but in learning maybe a little bit more about myself and what brought me to this position and this very unique place.
You have an amazing story, and for the record, we could speak in other languages than English, more you than I actually, but we could do it in French and Spanish and Italian. But we met when you were the general manager of Rocco Forte Amigo in Brussels, and followed your career. But can you tell us a little bit about your journey after studying at Cornell? And what I think was really amazing is what drove your decision is your family and your children.
I mean, I was fortunate enough to be born in a family that was involved with hospitality. Both my parents had active roles in hotels. We never really owned one. We operated a restaurant in the Dolomites at one point. I was led by my parents and partly by myself to go to Abano Terme Hotel School, which is just, a few miles from Venice and from Padua. It was kind of immediate. It was evident that unless you spoke foreign languages, you had no chance to become a departmental manager. In those days, becoming reception manager at concierge was like a dream. First thing I did, I said, out of the three languages I learned at school, which was the most difficult one, German, let's go to Germany. Okay, I started working in Germany, and then, I was there for a couple of years. I did a very nice restaurant in Frankfurt. Then I went to Brandner's Park Hotel Baden-Baden, and, that was an amazing experience in itself. After German, I said, okay, next, second difficult language, English. Okay, I packed my things. Well, actually, I sent a few CVs around, packed my things, went to work at the Lincoln Arms in Broadway, did a management training there for 18 months. I earned so little that I could go home after 9 months because I had to save money for my plane ticket. And, it was nice, countryside, a little bit quiet. And after a while, I said, now London. Okay, got 2 job offers, one at the Ritz, one at Claridge's. I thought Claridge's was better suited for me, took the job at Claridge's, and I mastered the English language. And at that point, I became seasick, meaning that I was sick because of the sea, but I was missing the sea so much. I said, okay, now I must find a job. And then I applied here in Monte Carlo at the Hôtel de Paris, where I'm right now. And I remember the front office manager, when I arrived, he said, we have a new receptionist who is arriving, and he has a golden CV because of the beautiful hotels I had already put on the CVs. Spent 6 years here in front office. I could go on but your question was different. Just go back for a moment. What led my career was really the need to learn, constant learn. If I don't learn, I get bored. So I need to learn. Every day I say to myself, what did you learn today? If nothing, then I'm in trouble. because, after 2-3 days of learning nothing, I get anxious. And the second thing was first learning languages for myself, and then learning languages, teaching languages, or giving my children opportunity to learn languages. Mm-hmm. We started with Belgium, the Hotel Amigo. They learned French, 5 years. We then moved to the Balmoral Hotel in Edinburgh, also Rocco Forte Hotels, for 5 years. And then I was asked to go to London. And at that point, the family kind of split a little bit. Some went back to Florence because my wife is a teacher in Florence, and Julia stayed in Edinburgh, and I went to London. So, but
of course,
everyone was pursuing his future.
Right.
I am really attracted by intellectual curiosity. I think intellectual curiosity is what keeps the world alive. Learning from the best people. I try to push the barrier of what we know. Constantly challenge myself and try not to make decisions based on what I know, but try to go behind the barrier of knowledge.
What is difference? What is difference today with your role at Hotel de Paris as the boss of the Hotel de Paris than it was in the previous job that you had in your career?
This is a totally different company. It's the only company I know of that has a turnover of close to 600 million euros.
Wow.
And everything they own is within 2.03 square kilometers. So, wow. This is a very, very unique company. It has some great advantages, also comes with some great challenges.
Yeah. And I know that before that you also work in art.
In art. Well, I work for a very well-known family. I was actually the personal assistant of the sister of Baron Thyssen-Bornemisza. I met her here at the Hotel de Paris, and because I was the only front office assistant that spoke German, she eventually asked me if I wanted to join her as a PA. Which I did, and this allowed me to travel around the world. Actually, what attracted me in this position was the opportunity to become a client of luxury hotel and experience these hotels from the other side.
Brilliant.
And that has taught me a lot.
Yes.
You get into a property like this, and the air you breathe tells you what the service is going to be like.
So everything you've been doing in your life, including working for the Baroness, is now something that you're applying at the hotel.
Yes, I mean, I've learned a lot, and I'm getting to the stage of my life where it is important that I pay back for all the good things that I learned. Okay, and that is really a debit I have. To the hospitality industry, my career, my kids, my daughter is portfolio manager at BlackRock. Mm-hmm. She's 27. She makes the salary I started making at 50, which is very positive, and I'm really impressed with their performance. Mm-hmm. And the other two are just fighting for fighting and learning the best they can and the most they can to be successful in life, because we all have a reason to have come to this world, and we better find out what the reason is and try to give it our best shot.
Absolutely. Beautiful say. Throughout your career, you had mentors. Who were your mentors, and who are you mentoring now? Of course, your children, but besides your children.
Sometimes when I think back, I realize that I'm a bit of a thief. Every time I saw talent, I really try hard to steal it. And and I would invite people out and say, come on, just tell me what's the secret. How do you do things? I worked with a guy at the Ritz in Paris. I mean, he was from northern Italy. He was one of the most beautiful men I've ever come across. He was really very good looking, blonde, tall, elegant. And, the problem is, sometimes I was working morning and he was working afternoon. So I would do an arrival, lovely couple from the US, checked in, they loved me, came down to reception, says, "Oh, Ivan, can you help me with this?" And then Helmut would be there and I said, "Oh, may I introduce Helmut? He's my colleague, he's taking over from me." And that was the end of my relationship with the clients. Helmut would take over. Every woman would fall in love with him. And, one day I said to Helmut, "Helmut, do you mind having a beer after work?" So we went, we had the beer, we sat down. And I said to Helmut, "Helmut, what is it you do? Because, when you come, clients don't have eyes for me anymore, and particularly women." And he said, "Well, Ivan, first of all, you and I are very different." Mm-hmm. And at that point, I realized he was wearing pink socks. I said, "Okay."
This is why you have a pink tie today?
And then I said, okay, but what has that got to do? He says, your problem is that when you see a beautiful woman, you're eating her with your eyes. I don't. I know how she thinks and what she's looking for. She's looking for compliments, and she's looking for delicatesse, gentillesse. She wants to feel very attractive, but maybe not exactly the way you look at her or the spot you look at. I say, okay. I get the message here. And
so an Italian being school about relationship with women, that's something I thought that I would never heard in my life. So,
well, the important thing is always the objective. And I know he taught me a very big lesson. And it was true that, we Italian, we can't resist from eating a beautiful woman with our eyes. But going back to more serious profile of leaders, I can remember Mr. Dario Dell'Antonia, who was managing director of SBM when I came here. I was fortunate enough to work with Frank Klein, president of the Ritz, who was at the Ritz until very recently. Franco Cozzo, one of the most famous GMs of Plaza Athénée in Paris. Hervé Oudret, who is now in the States, and François Droulers. François is his son. Jean-Marc Droulers, the owner, former owner of Villa d'Este. Mr. Occhiolini, managing director of Rocco Forte Hotels. Karim Nafa, present managing director of Rocco Forte Hotels, and Sir Rocco himself, his sister, Olga Polizzi. I mean, the list is endless.
It's amazing. It's not only is like a Rolodex of the most influential people and amazing names, but an opportunity to work with those people is just amazing. How does that translate into the way you're training your team? How does that translate in the way you're welcoming people at the hotel? And most importantly, how does that translate today in ensuring quality and safety for your team and your guests?
First of all, what you use, the memories you have or the experience you've shared with such leaders, you always get to a situation where you kind of don't know exactly how you need to manage something, okay? And each of the people I've mentioned were very special in an area, okay? Some had an amazing memories, other were extremely courageous. Others had a very British way of managing people. Others were master in confrontations that weren't won. Okay, always pushing, keeping gentle pressure, gentle, constant pressure on people that you needed to motivate to really go beyond what they thought were their own limits. How do I welcome people? I think you have to be honest. A client, he needs to feel warmth. He needs to feel energy. The energy is about the attention level. The client comes first. okay, is the client always right? Yes. I think if the client comes to you with something, you need to deeply believe that he is right. Okay. And respect him for what he's going to tell you. Now, sometimes clients play around with us a little bit. But I tend to spot that in their behavior, and then it becomes a little bit of a game, but a pleasant game rather than an argument. In terms of safety, the times we're living through is extremely challenging, and I've never felt the urge or the need to be on the bridge of the boat as I feel now. I locked myself down inside the hotel because I needed to be here and see how people were coping with the situation that was developing. There was a lot of fear around from everybody. Some clients and some team members were very fearful. Others just don't care, just behaved as if nothing was happening and only became conscious of it. I think what is a must in our industry is adaptability. Yeah. You have to be constantly adapting yourself to an evolving situation, different people, different nationalities. You need to understand where whatever you're trying to manage is coming from, and just stay zen. Just relax. Let the client empty themselves with what they have to say. If this is very positive, fantastic. If it's not so positive, just listen out. And you learn much more by being silent than by speaking. Actually, never learn anything when it's you who speaks. But there's a chance you're learning a lot when it's the client who's speaking to you.
When you look at the current situation, and obviously you're talking about $600 million of revenue with the company in 2.8 square meters. Is that what you say? 2.8 square meters, something like that?
2.03.
2.03
square miles.
Square miles.
Square kilometers, actually, not even miles.
Oh, square. Okay, but anyways, it's just amazing and stunning in such a concentrated place. But obviously, everybody's affected with what's going on now. So, what is your take on the future of our industry, and when do you expect to be back to the January 2020 figures?
January is not difficult to get back to the January 2020 figures because it's very, very low season for us.
Okay, I understand the question. When I it's true. That's absolutely true. Well done. Okay, let me rephrase that. When we will come back to the great results pre-low season that you had last year.
I wish I had a crystal ball because. There is so many factors that is going to be playing. I do believe what airlines are saying, and that is not before 2023. And I question myself if that 2023 is a realistic target. I don't think we will have an issue during peak season here. We have actually had a very good month of July. Very good month of August. Our grill room restaurant is actually ahead of last year in August, which is quite amazing. But then it's a very, very unique restaurant. In terms of rooms revenue, we have done more or less half of what we did last year, which is already very, very much better than what we thought 2 months ago.
Right.
Now, for us, the winter is going to be a challenge because, the winter was like special events, groups, conferences, incentives, and that is just not happening. So, I think it's not the individual guest. We tend to find new clients. I wouldn't say easily, but if we work on it, we find new clients here in Monaco. And the destination, the security, the mental, the medical care, and the fact that it's so small, so protected, is attracting a lot of people, new people. Now, the shoulder season, the winter season, that is going to be a challenge. And I don't think that will be back much before 22 or even 24.
Well, better know the brutal fact than kicking the can down the road, I suppose. But you're Ivan Artolli. You're the general manager of Hotel de Paris. Make us dream a little bit, and if you can share stories about one of my favorite, I don't know how to character in the history is Winston Churchill. I remember reading his biography that he was arriving at Hotel de Paris. And do you have stories about what happened with Winston Churchill at that time? And do you use those stories today when you have a conversation with a customer, or to align your team and make them dream?
That is clearly something which is part of our unique selling points. I think almost anybody who was somebody at one point came through the doors of the Hotel de Paris. I think, the marriage of Prince Rainier with Princess Grace, Grace Kelly. I mean, that was something. I mean, she really attracted all the top actors from the United States. I mean, anybody who was famous in the States was here at some point. Okay. Yeah. Now, going back to Winston Churchill, that's a very interesting story with Winston Churchill. First of all, Winston Churchill was not a rich man. Winston Churchill made money, quite a bit of money, with the sales of his books. So what happened is that his editor was so pleased about the way that his books were selling that he invited Winston Churchill to come and stay at his house, which was not in Monaco, was outside of Monaco. And Winston Churchill was walking to the Hotel de Paris to have lunch in our restaurant. And what happened is Onassis realized that Sir Winston Churchill was coming for lunch and dinner, and said, well, I think walking this kind of distance every day is maybe not good, and we owe you a lot. Why don't you come and stay with us? And so he came and stayed. There are several anecdotes about Winston Churchill. He was one of the first, actually possibly the first person that opened one of the old port bottles that were actually saved during the German occupation, because the cellar master decided to stock the very old liquors and wines at the very back of the cellar. And there is like a corridor that closes off that room, and he filled that corridor, 6-7 meters corridor, with empty bottles. So the Germans came, and there was so much wine on the other side that they saw this niche with these bottles, and they weren't bothered. They had so much other wines that they didn't know that there was even better behind those bottles. So towards the end of the war, there was a rather smart captain, SS captain, who thought it strange that there would be bottles in a niche. And while they were partying and drinking and possibly entertaining some young ladies, they started removing the bottles. But they got drunk. Fortunately, they got drunk before they came to the end of the 6 meters bottles. So what was behind was the saved from the German occupation. And one of the port bottles that were saved from the Germans was drunk by Sir Winston Churchill on a night here at the hotel. Another story goes...
Not only did he beat the Nazi, but he also drank something that they couldn't. I love this story. There's actually a great book called Wines of War. I don't know if you heard about it.
I heard about it.
Yeah, it's an amazing book telling the stories of wine cellars all over Europe, and particularly now this one in France, where people were very innovative to hide their big bottles. Do you have an other story with Winston Churchill? Because I'm surprised you say that he walked, because you always say I never exercise, and that's he was very proud of.
Yes, well, I think I think the fact that he came and stayed here was actually helping him from avoiding the exercise. But then he put on weight. Another thing is this parrot. He had a parrot, and I don't know what happened, but at this point, this parrot flew away, and he offered compensation for people to return the parrot, and there were at least 25 parrots that looked like his parrot that were brought to the hotel, but none were the right one, and so he never got his parrot back. And the story also goes that there were nights when he went to the casino and he would be sitting next to Onassis. So without him realizing, or maybe without him turning the offer back, Onassis would just push a few chips towards
Winston
Churchill so that he could play. And at that point, Onassis owned a big share of the company. And he did that until a night when I think Sir Winston Churchill was particularly lucky and courageous, and he won a big amount of money. And from that day on, we started charging for the accommodation Sir Winston Churchill was occupying at the hotel because he had the money to pay his bill.
That's awesome. And the last story maybe for today, but to make us dream, I saw recently you posted on LinkedIn, you had Claude Lelouch, amazing filmmaker, Ferrari, amazing car company. And they were filming in front of Hotel de Paris. Was that for an ad or is the next movie of Claude Lelouch? What was it exactly?
Well, actually, there are two reasons here. First of all, the date was the date of the Monaco Grand Prix, which don't take place. And there were two stories behind this. One, Charles Leclerc was extremely upset that he couldn't, run or drive the Monaco Grand Prix as is Monégasque, and therefore he decided that he would drive a Ferrari around the circuit, whatever happened. And which he did. The circuit was actually closed off. The roads were closed off for him to race on that Sunday. The other reason is that Claude Lelouch actually went to prison at one point because I think he was in the 70s. On a Sunday morning with a race driver, he drove a car through the heart of Paris.
Yes, and, I remember seeing that movie.
Yeah, there you are. And,
yes.
and there was Claude Lelouch trying to do once again what he did so many years ago. So two reasons. I must say, it was unique because we also had John Elkann here, Mr. Casiraghi, Prince Albert. I mean, all the crème de la crème was on the steps of the Hotel de Paris, enjoying the shooting of the clip, the short movie, which was actually quite beautiful. I mean, it was, I think they did a fantastic job, and even the time Charles Leclerc achieved with a classic, with a normal Ferrari, Ferrari you drive on the road was quite stunning.
Amazing. You closed the entire circuit in Monaco the day of the Grand Prix this year with no public, no nothing, for him just to be able to drive
there
around.
You are.
That's amazing. I love it.
There you are.
I love it. Well, Ivan, thanks so much for sharing all your knowledge. I had no idea about the movie, about Claude Lelouch going to prison after the movie. I knew about the movie.
Yeah, he was taken to prison because, you could see the speed. I mean, they were driving like mad. There was people crossing the road while they drove 180, 200 kilometers an hour.
Wow. Obviously not the case this time in Monaco.
There you are.
In closing, I have two last questions. But the first one, with all your experience, and I love the fact that you decided for you and then for your children that they need to be exposed to languages and culture and basically tailor your career with that. What advice would you give to business owners in general, and what advice would you give to business owners in our industry today when they're in the middle of all those change in 2020?
I think communication is vital in a situation like the one we are experiencing. I think you need to share as much as you can with your team. Make sure that they understand, your plan. What is it you want them to do? Because that has always been key. About success. We all think that we are good communicators, and in the end, there is always so much improvement margin. I've only come across very, very few people that could communicate, and not only communicate, but keep repeating the same things, because you need to be very consistent with the message you send out, and you need to walk your talk, because people people pay attention. And so I think that is really key. And because there will be huge challenges, but if your team is behind you and understand why you're doing things, they can explain to other people. They really become your ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
And that what creates cohesion and what sense of belonging. I think that is the key, because the challenges will be very different depending on which part of the world you're in. Some people are out of the crisis. Some people are still right in the middle. Some people, are expecting it to come back. So I don't think that there is a common message to everybody, but you just have to be, very good at keeping your team informed. They need to understand, and you need to remain positive, or as positive as you can be.
Thank you. And listening to you, I think I would like to add one more thing, is humility. With all your experience, with all the people you've been working with, you still remain a learner. You still remain humble. And you made me think of Jean Gabin, the French actor who passed away many years ago. Actually, my grandfather looked like him. He was sometimes taken as him. He had this song called Je sais, I know. And at the end, I'm sure you know that song. At the end of the song, he said, now that I'm at the end of my life, he said in the song, I know that I don't know. Humility is also very important. Last question for today. When we meet in 1 year from now with a bottle of champagne, what will we be celebrating?
It's honestly...
sorry, a bottle of Dom Perignon. I should have precise.
I think, first of all, we'll be celebrating Dom Perignon himself, because, it has become very evident that he didn't have a clue what was happening inside that bottle until Pasteur explained to him the second fermentation. So he is an innovator who didn't know what he was innovating. And actually, he wasn't happy about the wine. He wasn't happy himself.
Really?
He wasn't happy because every wine was flat. So you can imagine you do a wine and it's sparkling. Jesus Christ, why do we have this sparkle? But then, all the royalties, the aristocrats, they quite liked it. And so we will be celebrating that, and we will be celebrating the bottle. The bottle has a fantastic history. And actually, the bottle was illegal. You know that?
No.
It was created by monks.
In Abbaye d'Auvillers.
Because there was no, nobody knew how much liquid there was inside this bottle. And in those days, you could only sell alcoholic drinks, wine, in big wooden, barrel, yes. And if you remember, all the places where you drank wine were actually up in the basements, because you had to roll down these barrels, which were very heavy. There was no way you could lift them to the first or second floor. So for rich people to enjoy wine, the monks created the bottles, because they could easily be carried to the second floor. So we will drink.
I had no idea with that.
We will drink to Dom Perignon and to the monks for all the good things they have invented, and we can enjoy nowadays.
Awesome. Ivan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing all your stories. Very inspiring. I think we all appreciate dreaming, especially in those times. And I can't wait to see you in the future. And I understand that if I want to stay at Hôtel de Paris, I should first walk for lunch and write books, and then you'll offer me to stay there. So thank you very much.
Please give it a shot. Take care, Eric. Thank you for your interest. All the very best.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Fabulous conversation with Ivan. It just makes me dream, and I hope it makes you dream as well. He's an amazing individual, and obviously Hôtel de Paris in Monaco is just one of the icons in the world. I had no idea what happened with Dom Perignon and how he created the champagne and why it was put in bottles. So That's another thing that I've learned, besides all the great points that Ivan made about communication, about languages, and then I had as well about humility. So if you want to connect with me, please do so, www.eventbusinessformula.com/group. Join me in the group when we share information for all people in our industry, or you can always connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you. Bye-bye.